You are so bad at this.
Did I really screw that?
Wizard,
You
dummies, wizard.
Was there no
Wiz.
audio at all?
There's no audio. You added nobody.
Well, congratulations and welcome everyone. Listen, if we would have done
this
it
is
any
like
other
C-level
way,
production.
it wouldn't have been.
It took them 10 seconds just to go live.
It was all
the viewer missed 10 seconds of the countdown.
Listen,
and he's got a giant microphone in his view.
Yeah, in the camera.
If the live,
I swear,
the
we're
100
shooting
live
like an
chat
80s
was
porn
perfect,
movie.
people wouldn't think they're in the right place. They would have been like, "We are."
You're in the right room for it, Jason. You're in the right room for it.
Yeah, like is this a total disaster? Perfect. We're in the right place. So I want to say, I'm still Jason Thunder for a minute. I want to say thanks everyone for coming to our 100th live chat. If you guys haven't noticed, we also have Chris from HRT here. So he'll be answering all sorts of questions, saying all kinds of cool stuff, and telling us all his favorite gear, to include different HRT gear, or even some of your different belt choices. Just talking to you kind of surprised me too. So
my first question for Chris is, what is on your coffee mug?
So this was a birthday gift from the family, and it's got all my pups on it.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, I'm a big dog person. I think, dogs definitely make life a little bit more interesting. So, I mean, I don't love them as much as my significant other and my kids and other family members, but they're definitely up there. And I think that's always a good thing to show that compassion across the line to both humanity and animals. So
100.
I want to get that mug for Joe, just with our faces on it, Jason.
Happy birthday.
I would use it.
I would 100% use it. My last deployment, I had asked my wife about getting a dog when I came home, and she was like, "No, we're moving all the time. It's not fair to the dog. It's not fair to us." And then the kids came on, for my Skype call with them. I was like, "Hey kids, what do you think about getting a dog when I get home?" They're like, "Yeah, Dad said we're getting a dog."
That's part of the fun, though. You don't always have to go through mom. You just go through the kids, and then they won't stop talking about it. And then mom just feels guilty if she doesn't do it. So.
Yep.
Fine, we'll get a stupid dog.
Yep.
So, Jason, I did have a funny message that said, "R.I.P. Cody." We just replaced Cody with Chris from HRT. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Get well soon, Cody.
Yeah, get well soon, Cody. Hope you're feeling better.
Yeah. Right. So Croak says, "Who are you and what'd you do with Walsh?" Would be the reaction if the start was smooth.
Yeah, no joke.
I was doing. I ran everything. I was like, I'm gonna run everything on OBS. It's gonna be awesome. No, it didn't work out. I should just stop screwing with things. No big deal.
We are HRT Ted.
HRT so, Ted. Chris, number one, welcome to our 100 live chat. So just in case everyone hadn't been tracking, HRT was nice enough to give us a bit of some cool prizes that we're going to give away for our live chat. If you want to enter into that live chat, I'm going to put everything on the wheel of disappointment. So I'm going to start typing that in. If you all want to be entered in, type in #wizard. And as you guys are typing and entering in, Jason, you want to go over the grand prize?
Yeah. So the grand prize I talked about on our short. So the grand prize is going to be an HRT rack, a Maximus placard, a cummerbund of the winner's choosing, and Chris hinted at possibly throwing in some extra goodies in there for the wizard.
You gotta be quiet.
I mean, the winner.
Yeah.
That counts.
Any color?
I don't know.
Hey, Chris, is there any color?
He said of the winner's choosing.
The winner's choice. So whatever it is that they come across, they say, "Hey, we want this." However, I do need to preface this with Woodland. Unfortunately, those are special runs, so we probably do not have those in stock. It would probably have to be something we have in stock. So it's going to be Coyote Brown, Ranger Green, multicam black, as well as black. So those are our main primary colors and patterns that we keep in stock. But if I've got something else available, then I'm always willing to give it away.
Bailey Luke says M81 is the only option.
I agree.
Somebody's gonna pick basement ammo.
It's one of those things that for us, we just do it basically is we're basically just doing it as a short-term run, and we're going to be doing a few short-term runs of different patterns coming in 2023 as well. So if anybody's interested and they want to hold out until they see what those are going to be, I think spring and summer are going to be the possibility for the next special run. So.
So I do want to say one thing real quick before I give the mic to you, Chris. Just from Thin Line Defense, I want to say just a big thanks to HRT. Ever since Thin Line Defense was just a tiny little thing, and I laughed and I was like, "Hey, Chris, we got 8 viewers. That all 8 of them want to see your stuff."
Oh, actually, it was not that at all, because I remember it was almost like serendipity, because I reached out to you and you literally said, "Hey, I was literally going to reach out to you this weekend. This is awesome. Maybe we can work with something." And then I think from there, we really gelled. We had a good relationship. And I think that's a good part of the industry, is just, even though we produce gear, you guys are very honest in your feedback and you give us what we need to hear, whether that's the pros, the cons. And with any gear company, you've got to be able to take a listen to those cons and say, how can we fix this with future generations? And that's where we always want to take a look. If someone says, hey, we don't like this, that's fine. We can come up with some better option and design later. And you guys are really good about, whether it's offline or you find something and you put it in the reviews. And that's something that needs to be said, and we're fine hearing it. So,
and I'll say
we appreciate that from our standpoint, because not all companies have that same viewpoint.
Yeah, so we should clip that portion out of this and
I believe
as
in
our next short.
And one portion of integrity is that you're not going to please every single customer that buys your gear, and you're going to have people that are going to say, whether in the reviews, hey, we definitely thumbs up this product, or we don't. And that's just a part of the industry. And a lot of people are different, and different people like different types of gear. It's just like, if you guys probably remember in 2005, when everybody was starting to move away from the wraparound vest into plate carriers, but the early plate carrier models were kind of big and bulky, just like the wraparound vests were. So I
have one upstairs.
But that's part of the industry. I mean, everything kind of changes and it revolves around a certain revolution. It's just like, if you take a look at the market now, they're starting to bring back elements of what may be, what is it, the M68 South African Defense Vest? Like, you're starting to see remakes of those vests coming onto the market now. So, and that's kind of like I came out of the Marine Corps, so it was like 782 gear. So it was just the Y suspenders or the H suspenders. And then you had a belt and a bunch of pouches, and you had a flak vest for like your first issue gear. And God forbid those horrendous helmets that made you look like a stormtrooper.
They're coming back. They're all coming back.
Not, because those things were horrible.
I got one in my garage right now.
Exactly.
About some video on how I could.
Reason you're not using it. You're never going to use it again. That's the whole point of that.
Supposedly, there's a way I could cut it up to make it like a high cut bump helmet.
Sure, you can do it.
Right, Walsh?
Yeah,
you want to when there's already plenty of companies out there that are already making better products than having to cut your own.
But he has the other one. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, in all honesty, I think in the end, what it really comes down to is, if it works for you, then run with it. Because I've seen quite a few of the generations going from just black jackets and nylon suspenders to body armor, and it's kind of came across the gambit, and it's just interesting to see. And as I'm getting older, I'm kind of getting to the point now where it's like, I don't have to run these products as much as I used to in the past, and that's a good thing. But at the same time, I still want to stay within the industry. It's kind of always felt like home to me. So it's nice to get out, run it, test new stuff, and try to come up with better products as, the company grows and we get a chance to see where the industry is leading in the future. So.
And I think one thing that's interesting, and we've kind of talked about here, and you mentioned it, but people, the viewers don't see the interaction that we get to have with you. And for the full-on HRT, like when we put a video out, I'm always just blown away by your reaction. It's just like, usually you laugh, like, all right, hey, Walsh, you said so-and-so. And it's like, dude, I totally did say that wrong. And you're like, okay, but actually this is why. And you'll educate me, or you'll be like, yeah, that is a con, and this one we're tracking.
Well, and that's one of the other things is, like, when you come back to us and you say, hey, did you guys ever notice this? And we may not have picked it up in our prototype testing. And that's something, that's good for us, is because you do come back and you're like, hey, did you guys see this? Like, one of the biggest issues that we've had with the ARC belt, as far as like early feedback from people that have had a chance to run it, or some of the content creators that we've gotten it out to, some did understand it and some didn't. And one of the issues was, hey, when you're using that core on the back, there's a reason why for the initial release we didn't put Velcro back there. One was, the main reason is because when we did a lot of the testing, it wasn't necessary because of the way that the belt is cut. It's cut in a contour, so it's going to fit along your hip line, and it's not going to sag. It's not going to pull down. It's going to hold that weight towards the rear. The only issue that we could even think of that we were like, okay, this could be something we're going to have to look at making some possible adjustments in the future, is if you're riding in a lot of vehicles and you like to carry a lot of stuff on the rear. It could cause the belt to lift up a little bit, but the good news is it's such a rigid belt, it's going to fall back into place. And we just had a chance to go out to Indiana and train with some groups out there back in early November. And a couple of the guys, we brought some extra belts and they ran them, and we were doing a rappel portion. So during the rappel training, one of the individuals was much braver than myself and decided to do an Aussie rappel. And he completely flipped over upside down and had to get his bearing again. But at no point in time did any of the stuff fall out of his pouches. At no point in time did any of the stuff fall off, even though he was kind of squirming around like a fish out of water. But it was kind of funny to watch. And who knows, we may actually put that out as a small reel for 24 hours on our main account. But, we realized that just getting a chance to go out and do stuff like this, it gives us a chance to do better testing on the gear as well, too, because there's going to be groups out there, they're going to have to rappel, or they may have to jump out of airplanes. And unfortunately, that's one thing that we really haven't had a chance to do with the gear at this time. But we have built it up to the standards that if you are going to jump out, for instance, our AAARs, they do come with the option to pull those bungee tabs over top of your magazine so they're not going to fall out. But yeah, that's one thing that unfortunately COVID put kind of a cramp in what my plan was, because I did have the plan to go out and go through jump school, but all the jump schools around here in Ohio, they kind of closed down. So who knows, maybe once everything gets back to normal here and we get back to normal, I can go back and do it. Now, yeah, I know most everything is back to normal, but the last thing I want to be doing is jumping planes in 32 degrees. Just
I think
in summer.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. One of the things that Walsh is, I was gonna say, one of the things that Walsh was telling me about the HRT mag pouches when he got a look at them. We've all been big fans of S-Tac, and he was like, dude, these are better than S-Tac. Like, it's hard for him to say that, but he liked them better. And so during your Black Friday sale, I bought some. My new agency that I'm moving into, or my current agency, we don't carry M4 style weapons, and so there's no need for me to put an AR mag pouch on my belt. The new one is, and so I got your pistol pouches and an AR mag pouch, and 100% agree with Walsh in this, that those mag pouches, I've been an S-Tac fan for years, but HRT is my new go-to if I'm looking for pistol pouches or AR pouches.
Well, see, one of the
just
things,
love the retention.
Right, and one of the things that we looked at was what made S-Tac such a great pouch. And one of the things was the rigid insert, the fact that it was a very well-built pouch. So we looked at what's a way that you can make the S-Tac a better pouch without copying the S-Tac pouch. And one of the things we did was use injected molding. The injected molding process, it's not going to lose its form as quickly as what the S-Tacs were. And we talked to some people out in the Southwest who, it gets hot out there, and they've all said that, they put their stuff in their car as soon as they leave the range, and they may not get home for a couple of hours, 200 degrees in their trunk, and that stuff just starts to lose its form, and it starts to lose some of the rigidity. So that was one thing that we were looking at with that. And I'm going to be honest, like, this is probably the biggest headache that we've had as a company, was just trying to decide on what's the proper tautness. And we know that Walsh was able to get a couple extra sets from when we were looking at doing this, because we basically co-branded this with Valhalla. They're doing a version of it under their name, and we're also doing a brand under our name as well. So we kind of came up with, hey, let's use an injected molding. It's going to hold its form in higher heat. And we've done a lot of testing on it. We've had guys take it through tactical games, proving grounds. We've done a lot of 5K, 10K races with it. And again, like I said, we try to get to as many classes or many training opportunities we can and run those in those environments, because you run through a couple shoot houses and it'll tell you, oh, wow, this is not a very comfortable setup. But when you get to the point where it's like, oh, okay, well, if we make a few changes here, we make a few changes there, remove some of the material there, it definitely gives you the opportunity to get a feel for the product. And that's one thing that we do try to do, is test the gear as much as possible. But we also try to get it out to end users that we have really good relationships with, not so that they can come back and say, hey, this is the greatest gear we've ever used. No, we're looking for them to come back and say, hey, I like this. You know what I would like even more? A little bit tighter, or, this is a little bit too tight. Could you loosen it up a little bit? And we can always make those adjustments when we're putting it together up in Columbus, or, during the actual prototyping process. So that's really important for us, is to get end user feedback, because without that, you're really building your products in a bubble. And that's kind of the things that we really want to make sure that everybody out there knows. We're not building these in a bubble. We're trying to get as much feedback before we get them to market as well too. So
go Walsh. I stole your thunder last time.
That's the thing, people don't see too, is like when we actually got to give some feedback where I'm like, hey, this small thing should be changed. Hey, here's this small issue with these pouches. I'm really excited to see what the final version is, because if you clean that up, these could be really great. And it was interesting from, this is a little bit behind the scenes for some of our viewers, but then, the HRT team was like, okay, hey, Walsh, sit down and talk me through what your issues were. Let me hear them all and hear exactly what your problems were, so we can address them and see if we're having the same problem. And then I think even I was like, nope, I didn't have any issues with retention. They're like, well, actually we did. And we didn't like the way, way XYZ worked. And I was like, I didn't have that problem, but if you're going to improve it, I'm all on board.
So in full transparency, I think it was probably back in June when we were doing some of the early testing on the pouches. We were running a lot of steel magazines, because Glock magazines have a little bit of traction on them because they're made out of a polymer. And when you get two polymers together, you get a little bit more friction in there. And we realized that even though the molds were cut for kind of a specific type of magazine, more so because Glock's pretty universal. However, if you take a look at the market, SIG has definitely taken a cut out of the market in itself. You've got staccatos are really starting to take a cut into the market, and those all run on steel magazines. And even Smith & Wesson has been trying to up their game to basically come out with some new designs, and I've heard some pretty good reviews on those as well. And they all run on a metal or a aluminum-based magazine. So with that, we're trying to do everything we can to build the product so that it's not just for the Glock, it's not just for the CZ, it's not just for the staccato. And as a company, that gets really, really expensive, and especially being a small company like ourselves. So we're trying to do the best all around to get that 80% bell curve. Yes, there may be 10% on both sides. And right now, for instance, you probably notice that you could technically run a 1911 single stack in there, but I would not suggest it, simply for the fact that I've lost 1911s in other magazine carriers that I've used that were supposed to be tight enough for 1911s. But again, these were not built for 1911. So end users, feel free to chime in. If you're running 1911 style magazines and it's holding fine for you, please continue to do so. However, if they do fall out, they were not designed for the 1911. On the opposite,
don't come crying.
Right. And on the opposite side, they also were not built for 10 millimeter style magazines that are quite large. So larger bore, like the 45 ACP style. We're still putting that on the drawing board to come out with, something that can carry a larger bore pistol magazine. However, I think it's with any company. We've got it on the market. We need to let it kind of stay on the market for a while, get much feedback as we can, and then when we come out with like the Gen 2s, or we can just make small, minute changes in the production process, maybe a little bit more tighter cut if we do get some feedback that, hey, people are saying that it's a little bit loose. However, for the past year or so that we've had the magazines in its rough estimate, I would say its final composition, the AR mags, we haven't had any issues. So that's a good start. And like Walsh was saying, we sent a couple prototypes out to him, and I think those were still using the 3D printing. Yeah. And I think the initial feedback was, this is cutting my hand. Please do something about this. Yeah. And kind of we're worried about that, not as going to the market. It's like, hey, how do we fix this? Obviously, 3D printing isn't going to be the solution. It's going to have to be something different. So the injection molding, we just went ahead and made the investment on it. And so far, we think it's been a good investment.
Yeah, it's worked out great so far. So I do want to jump in real quick, Walsh, and just say, I know there's tons of comments. Yes. We'll try to get to some questions, but like J-Dub says,
say wizard, because that counts.
Wizard.
There's been about a million wizards. Just start drinking.
Again, if you want to enter our giveaway today, you have to type in #wizard like Zed did. Mm-hmm. #wizard will enter you in. Walsh is working on, we call it our Wheel of Disappointment. And Chris, if your first time here watching this, the Wheel of Disappointment is one of the most exciting things about our live chats whenever we do a giveaway.
So the wheel, when we spin it, it goes really slow, and you see a bunch of people get super screwed. It's really entertaining.
So
hey, what color are you calling right away? Wells, what color are you calling?
Oh, I'm going red. I got red.
All right, blue.
Green.
Oh, Chris, you got to call. We have our own bet within each other. You owe $1 if you're wrong. And if you're wrong, then you owe Joe like $10 for some weird reason.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Okay. So Mike Costanza says Walsh is odd man out, no carrier. J-Dub again, he says his L-back is amazing.
My L-back's in pieces, or I would have it on as always.
Dude, when Walsh went to SHOT Show and showed the L-back, I wanted it so bad. Like, that's when I started wanting it.
I should send it over to Joe.
You should have, but too late.
So again,
you already sent me my box for the next 2 years, so
enter the giveaway #wizard. We'll enter you in. Thanks. Walsh will fill you in on the Wheel of Disappointment. Let's see here. Croak says, congrats on the long timers posting their membership. Just remember that the host can't see those semi super chats. Harry says, damn, my message doesn't have the same flair, not in the super chat. Here you go, Chris. So Croak says he was in the Corps when they switched from steel pots to the PSA GTs. Hated them, weren't allowed to sit on them, couldn't put water in them, etc.
I mean, that's an honest approach because, I mean, if you look at the old steel helmets, they were multitasking. They had multiple capabilities, whereas when you move to the Kevlar, it's like if you get it wet, well, it can start to mess with the integrity of it. Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but, I mean, I would much rather wear the lighter, newer Kevlar or the newer Duridium systems or whatever the materials that they're using. But, yeah, I mean, it's always nice when you've got something that can be multi-capable, especially in those types of environments.
There you go. Wizard, get your nods.
Yeah.
For you, Joe. Bailey says, I really like my Maximus placard because it lets me keep my M&Ms and Skittles separated.
That's the true reason to have
it. Bailey Luke, Prepper Book Club says, those two front pouches hold grilled cheeses perfectly.
Nice. That's what I had for dinner.
Harry says, when you don't separate them, every bite is a surprise. Skittle or M&M? I don't know. Bill says, I'm only here to express my strongly held and completely uninformed opinions like a responsible internet user should.
I like that response.
You're in the right place.
Yeah, perfect.
So instead of saying HDJC86, I just started calling him Bill. And Walsh was like, wait, why are you calling him Bill? Like, I don't want to say that name every time anymore.
Yeah.
Just Bill.
Evening, Bill.
Bailey says, I need a report from Walsh on how much pizza I could fit in them. Maximus placard. How many slices of pizza, Walsh?
Right.
Okay, I have to go do that for a short. Like, all right, everyone, this is a super important one.
You gotta call him out though.
Yeah.
This is super important.
I also have strong opinions on things I have no experience with.
Perfect.
Hey, if they're not a strong opinion, I don't want to hear them.
That's right. Matthew Truex, #Wizard. If you want to be entered into the giveaway tonight,
Thank you.
#Wizard. And again, for those of you that are unaware, anytime I read off Wizard or like someone did an emoji, this one, Wizard, get your nod. So on StreamYard, it doesn't show us the emoji. It just comes up like this. Anytime I say Wizard, it's a drinking game. And Joe and everyone drinks. I am unfortunately out. I did not come.
But Joe doesn't have to work. He took tomorrow off, so we can get him trashed.
Well, I only brought 2 beers down. I mean, I don't have to get up at 3:30 in the morning.
I like how Zachary, he didn't even do the correct word. I'm still gonna enter him in. Like it's not nods, but I respect you. I respect you.
Well, what did he say? #nods.
Yeah, #nods. So yet. And our viewers over on Discord are getting in on this. So there's I think there's Shadow Man. Yeah, Shadow Man with some lead slinger. Look at that. Thin Blue Line bourbon whiskey. Lead slingers.
I had a bottle of that about 2 years ago when it first came out. It, in all honesty, tasted just like the other bourbon that they make, which isn't horrible. Makes a good old fashioned.
There you go.
We got a whole. So just so you guys know, one thing too, we have like 52 people, a lot of entries. You have to be here to win. So if we spin the wheel and you don't win, we spin again. So that's how we roll.
We give you about 30 seconds to chime in, saying that you're here.
We do give you
the wheel of disappointment. Too much fun not to use it if we can.
Yeah, like, oh, Daisy here. Like,
so yeah, Bailey Luke in Discord, he's Cajun, so he says I really need to switch my competition belt to the HRT pouches. I have a chance to do it now that I just switched to 2011s. I think you just picked up a Staccato P today, didn't you?
Oh, about to ask. What'd you buy?
No kidding.
I think
Mr. Fancy Pants money, if not an option. Got it.
And the thing I hate the most about, not hate, but with my S-Tacs, I'll leave them loaded. Like I'll have them, like my main belt loaded up and I'll have mags in them. And then I'll take it out to the range and go back and forth. And then I'll eventually go out there and like everything is sloppy. And I got to sit there with a hairdryer and just try to reform everything and get it back tight again.
Stop acting like you don't use the hairdryer every morning to get your hair all nice. Like that's not a big deal. The hairdryer's already out.
Okay. Anyway, I'm just saying I don't have that problem, and I don't have to get my hairdryer out if I'm using the HRT pouches.
Yeah. All right. Didn't you get some prototypes from SHOT Show and the ones that you got and brought home?
Yeah.
Those were early prototypes, and then there was Stage 2.
We were super jealous.
So, listen, I'll send you the cut your hands ones.
Oh, perfect.
You're like, ow! Every time it's like, ow!
Develop a good. Anyways, Harry says, "Thin Line Defense Co. Where do I mail the $80 to guarantee I win?"
I'll put our PO box in, and then I'll just spin the wheel like normal, and you can send that money over.
So here's a question for Chris. J-Dub says, "Hey Chris, was wondering when HRT will come out with more apparel. Love the shirts I got, but a hoodie would be sick." I was thinking the exact same thing. I went on and bought a bunch. You guys were out of red shirts though, and hats off to customer service. I got an email saying, "Hey, we're out of red. Can we give you a sand colored shirt instead?" And so they sent it, and then they refunded me the money for the shirt.
What?
Well, sometimes things like that happen. I think as far as like our lifestyle stuff, when we originally started to move into the lifestyle merchandise, we started that in 2020. It sold okay, but it really wasn't something that we were really pushing out in large quantities. Yeah. So usually, unfortunately, right now, and this is something I can definitely take back when we have our next partner meeting and say, hey, look, it is coming into 2023. So we'll probably come out with some new designs for some of the shirts. We usually don't order large amounts. Just unfortunately, we just don't do a lot of sales in those.
Only four.
But yeah, I'll definitely bring it up so that once we get probably into we'll have some new shirts, and we'll bring out a couple hoodies as well if we can get that going as well. Unfortunately, I do not get a chance to make the final decision. It has to go through the rest of the partners, and then it usually gets decided there. So
can we make them come to the live chat?
Yeah, tell them to decide yes.
We will definitely go there.
Have them come to live chat.
I will say this: the last batch of shirts that we had made We weren't the happiest with the fit because the ones that you're wearing, Jason, the shirts that we had made, we did 2 runs, and those were great shirts. They were still athletic fits. They did everything they were supposed to. But the last batch of shirts that we had made, unfortunately, they seemed like they were a size smaller, but they were the exact same shirt. So
I was thinking that too. I just pulled it out of the dryer and I was like, man, I feel like I'm buff all of a sudden.
It's really working out for me.
Yeah, I have the green, like the green one. I like how it looks. I mean, it looks military, has a military cut to, like the whole thing is super athletic. But it's like just barely a size too small, so I look huge with it on. It's good. They're good shirts.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we want to make sure that it definitely flatters for those that do get a chance to wear them. But yeah, it's about time we come out with a new batch of shirts. We do have some designs on the drawing board, but yeah, I'm hoping by spring we should have a new batch of T-shirts, and I'll definitely push for us to get the best voted T-shirts turned into the hoodies.
Yeah, Walsh uses the wrong words all the time. He said huge, he meant fat.
And Joe,
it's got it. Oh, it has the American flag on it. Weird.
Someone was asking a
question. Weird, Walsh.
Was it?
Yeah. So Dr. Dole's here. He says,
"Medic,
Chris, any chance HRT rear PC zipper panels will find their way onto the front of the PC or an assault pack?"
I think that would be really hard because if you're carrying too much stuff up here, I'm going to have to say at the moment, unfortunately, to answer Robert Dole's question, I don't think right now we have any plan to do something like that. However, for 2023, we do have a couple new placards that are on the drawing board to bring out to the market. So those are on there, but unfortunately, I
Walsh's eyes got
be a front zipper system. Not at the moment anyway, so.
What's interesting because Doc Dole, he's one of our people who's actually out in the field. So I mean, I'd be interested. Maybe we can connect up later and see like what that actual
super chat
because that would be an actual field need. So we can connect up later with that.
Sure, and that's something we would like to hear the feedback from. And if it's like a end user's reason for doing it, then there might be more out there, and that's just something we're not aware of. So yeah, we're definitely open to hear it and see about putting something like that.
There's all these people talking about this damn. Some person mentioned an HRT smoking jacket, and then everyone is like, "Yeah, let's do the smoking jacket." Like, I don't think that's a thing.
So for 2020, we were actually going to come to SHOT in multicam black smoking jackets.
Now it's going to be a thing.
Looked at the price, and it was like, okay, we're not doing the smoking jackets anymore. So. But it was an idea that we thought about, and it was kind of an interesting thing. So
it's going to be on Reddit tomorrow. New HRT smoking jackets. Like,
no. That's fine.
Remember the Magpul waffle maker for April Fools a couple years ago? They came out with an ad that they were coming out with a Magpul waffle maker, and people are like, every year you'll see dozens of comments on Magpul. They'll release something new like, that's cool, but when are you coming out with that waffle maker?
The waffle maker again.
That's really interesting because there's been a lot of companies that have done the April Fool's thing, and it got such good traction. But they were like, "Why not? Let's do it!" And then they did it, and it actually sold pretty well.
Yeah, it did really good.
Yeah. All right, Jason, do some more comments. As a reminder, though, as he's doing comments, #Wizard enter to win. As he's doing comments, I'm going to show our wheel in case you don't see yourself.
CM says, "I can't wait for this giveaway." It's so if you can read that.
Can't read that.
If you can't read that and your name is not on there, I guess you're just screwed. I don't know.
It's called SOL.
If you can read that,
here you go. So Croak says we're minutes behind, but Croak says, and my latest love, Walther has steel mags. Croak just got a Walther PDP, and man, he has been loving that thing on our Discord.
It's got a sweet trigger. It really does.
Yeah, so he's been talking. Walther does law enforcement and military discount. So I've been eyeballing their discount page, and the price for the PDP is very appealing to me. I'll probably get it next year. What?
Hey, sell me that 1911, and then you could buy it.
No. So Chris, Joe's been trying to talk me into a 1911 for a long time. Ever since
as long as I've known him. Yeah.
So
and
I've to buy one, or he wants.
Yeah, he wants me to buy one. He wants me to buy one. He wanted me to buy one. I bought one.
I love 1911s, but for me, it's more of a nostalgia thing. So.
Hey, can you hit mute on Chris real quick? I don't have control over it, or else I'd do it.
He'd be like, no, don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a nostalgia thing. When I came up, it was like if you wanted to be part of the best that the Corps had at the time, they were all carrying 1911s. So they were just really sexy at the time. And, when you get a chance to shoot them, especially the ones that were made out of Quantico, they were just super smooth. It was like shooting butter. It was just the greatest trigger that you could think about. And the sights on it were pretty smooth at the time because it's right when they were starting to move over to the tritium sights. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it was just more of a nostalgia thing. And when I used to do a lot of the range work, and when you would have the Force Recon guys come out and you got a chance to shoot some of their toys, it was a really fun time. So, yeah, the 1911s back then were purpose-made, and they were always well-maintained. The triggers were just extremely impressive.
Why did you want me to mute that, Joe?
I mean, if you look at it now, technically the staccato is 1911 of the 21st century. So,
yeah. I think everyone would agree with you.
Yeah, so I did this. I had a couple people I took out shooting. There were some Australians. I took them out shooting for the first time, and I taught them how to shoot. We learned on airsoft, learned all the safety rules, and I took them out to the range, and they shot my staccato, and they're just shooting like quarter-size holes, and like, yeah, this is cool, and all. Like, all right, maybe this was. I probably shouldn't have started you guys here. Like, this is really kind of easy. Like, all right. Let me give you a crappy pistol instead.
One of the things I love is if you ever get a chance to go to California and you're actually there with like any military from the Commonwealth, especially like the British or the Australians. And this was before California really cracked down on some of their gun rights. You would go out there and you would take them to a gun store or range, and you would go out and you would rent weapons and stuff, and they would take a look at it and they would be like, oh, these are really cool. And then you would go to the exact same booth where they would sell those guns. And there would be like the asps and other types of knives and stuff. And it would say law enforcement only or something like this. And they would, let me get this straight. You can buy guns that put holes in people, but you can't buy something and bludgeon them to death. So I always thought it was funny to see how the Commonwealth sees America. But at the same time, I can see the common sense in their thought, so.
So here's a good question for the group, and as someone that doesn't have nods, this might be a question more for Walsh and Chris. So Bill says, if carrier level 4 plates and side plates, helmet, and PVS 14s were gear goals for 2023, how much money would you set aside for a buy once, cry once setup?
So I only have 14s and not duals, and maybe Chris would correct me.
He's not asking for duals.
Okay, I'm just saying plates, side plates, helmet, and 14s.
Yeah, it
sell your car.
If you look at going a lot of ways on the budget side, you can always look at the possibility of buying some secondhand PVS 14s with Gen 3 tubes. I remember pre-COVID, you could find some really good PVS 14s for about $1,400 that were secondhand. And some of them even came with warranties. Unfortunately, as soon as COVID hit mass effect, it's like even secondhand nods went up to about $3,000 minimum. So I think the issue that you would come across, especially going into the night vision market, if you're looking at trying to keep it as low as possible, I know that AGM, they do an okay job. I've got a set of the dual tubes of those that we bought with the company for purpose of basically doing photo shoots and things like that. And they do fine. But I also have 2 pairs of PVS 14s that I got pre-COVID. And one set I did buy secondhand, and it still works like a charm. However, I will give the Ford advance, like if you ever watch anything from TNBC, if you buy anything secondhand and it doesn't have any type of warranty on it, it's one of those buy once and you're going to cry a lot because you're not going to have an easy time getting them fixed a lot of times. So, because you will have to pay that extra on the second end of maybe getting your tubes replaced, or God knows what.
For me, I'm a sales shopper, so like I found that OpsCore, the Fast SF helmet for, what was the price? $1,200, I think. $1,200 for that, and then the amps were $830. Like,
so
I tried. You're $2,000 just for the helmet and your amps, your PVS 14s, all the goodies on that. You're probably looking at $3,000, $4,000.
No, well, probably you got to get your mount, which is another.
Oh yeah, all the mount stuff too.
Yeah,
and you got 5, and you haven't bought plates yet, so I'd spend probably $7.
Yeah, and depending on what you want from your plates, if you go level 4, does that mean you want the ceramic style, or do you want to go with more of the polyethylene style duridium plates that you're starting to see coming on the market, which is way lighter, because you can find some of those in the 4-pound range or less.
They're just thicker and not, and yours doesn't suffer from this, but you got to be careful with some carriers if you run the thicker plates that they don't fit in all the different plate carriers. So some people will be like, "Hey, I'm gonna run this 1. Even Jason saw some. There's some like 1.3-inch plates that were on sale, and I was like, I would have to really look and see what carriers can fit. I was like, I think only 1 or 2 carriers I have would even fit those.
Well, one thing you also have to be cognizant of is most plate carrier companies, a lot of them really build out to the SAPI, ESAPI standard, because there are still certain groups out there that still run those. So that's another thing to think about. And that's an excellent thing to bring up, Walsh, is sizes on plates are varying these days. And one of the other things you got to think about is if you're buying just the single curve versus multi-curves, it's going to take up a little bit more space inside of the plate carrier as well. So, I think you're going to be looking at a nice chunk of cheddar, regardless of how you go. The best thing that you could do is find a time machine and go back pre-COVID, when you could find a lot of this stuff really affordable compared to what it is now. Although I have
personal loans. Personal loans are good too.
Yeah, that works too. But yeah, I mean, I think, Jason said he pretty much hit it on the head, is wait for a lot of when these companies are going to be doing some really good sales. Unfortunately, Black Friday is pretty much over, but pay attention when you get some of these, but you also got to pay attention to when companies will come out and they are constantly changing their prices. So when they do a sale, they may raise their prices 15% before the sale. And then they're like, hey, we're doing a 20% sale. So you're not really getting that discount. And I'm not trying to bash other companies with that, but I mean, there are certain things that I want that other companies make, and you do see that. But and then you can always sign up for like wholesale clubs. I know that DVOR sometimes does some okay deals. And if you have some DVOR bucks saved up, and you get a little bit of a credit on that. But you're just going to have to keep an eye out when companies are doing some of these sales. Get an idea for what your base price, and go out and find some reviews on what you think would work best for your mission set. And then once you find it, try to find places and do some Google searches, some DuckDuckGo searches, because sometimes Google won't always bring back the search that you hope it does. Because
that's a good point.
I mean, I'm not saying they shadow ban, but let's be honest, they don't always put it at the top of the list.
Do some digging.
I will say I really do like the OpsCore SF helmet, just because it's so much lighter. It's not, that's not the only one out there, obviously. Be careful with 14s too. Sometimes you'll catch deals on them. Worst case, you can hit us up. We can kind of go through. If you have a good deal, you can hit me up on Instagram. Sometimes you'll get like your FOM won't be very good, or be like, hey, it's for $2,000. Like, yeah, but you have like 25 signal to noise ratio and a garbage, resolution, and these things you wouldn't know. Like, you have to play with all this stuff to know, and we can help you out. So I don't mind helping people with that at all.
Something
CM
else
says he wants it pre-worn by Walsh.
That's why the dude wanted it.
So another thing to think about when you start getting into nods is, do you want them auto gated or do you want them manual gated? And then there's a couple out there that don't have the ability to gate at all. And that's something that would be really important once you start going from a dark environment to a slightly more lit environment, because you're just going to start to wash out depending on how light it is too. So.
Hey, Crook says if If you've never seen Joe go this long without fiddling with something below camera, hit that like button.
I'm messing with stuff everywhere, dude.
We've had companies send Joe stuff because they're like, hey, we noticed that you're a fiddler. What if you fiddle with our stuff?
Just fiddle with their stuff on camera. Like, okay. Together.
So
who knows? Maybe Joe's doing something that's more fun than talking to us three.
Yeah. I mean, when Walsh gets on a soapbox about nods or helmets, I might as well just take a nap.
Joe zones out. So I will say something that's kind of an interest to me. So we have a comment from Twitch. CureX says hashtag. So we got a hashtag wizard from Twitch. So again, if you guys are just joining us, we have 65 folks here. Hashtag wizard to join the giveaway. Again, the giveaway is going to be an HRT rack, a Maximus placard, and a cummerbund of the winner's choosing. But M81, unfortunately, is out of stock. You can't choose that.
And if you
That's
guys
why I'm not entering.
If you guys could please make sure to give thanks to HRT. They were nice enough, Chris, obviously, to sacrifice his time to come out here with us. Not only that, but also give us all the cool gear that we've been able to show you guys. So big thanks to Chris from HRT. I really love working with you, and we're just excited to come see you at SHOT Show again too.
Well, I'm sure we're going to have this opportunity again once spring rolls around. And like we've told you guys before, as you guys grow, we're definitely going to help support the channel because you guys have great subscribers and you guys have great supporters. So we want to basically help.
That's honestly the best part of our entire channel. Is everybody in the comments right now? Yeah.
But I think the next giveaway we could probably look at something like an arc belt or an AWLS, and then make it a little bit more exciting.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Now that's all we're going to hear about for every live chat until we do it.
Is HRG going to give?
I'm letting you know right now.
Why?
Walsh made the mistake of saying once we have a million subscriber that he would buy all the original subscribers nods, and we haven't stopped hearing about that since.
Yeah. Are we at 1 million yet?
Yeah.
Make sure to hit that like button so we get to 1 million. I want my nods.
Yeah. I want my nods.
Bailey says, ladies and gentlemen, and the often forgotten but not by me, multicam basement enjoyers, go ahead and hit that like button if you've ever been disappointed by the wheel.
I can't wait till Chris sees the wheel. And we're getting pretty good right now. We have 71 in here. This is pretty amazing. So
we spin the wheel at the hour mark.
Yeah. So we got 12 minutes till we spin, and then everybody leaves. I'm like, damn, this is stupid.
Hashtag wizard if you want to join. And you must be present to win. So
if you spin it and you're not here, that stinks for you. Like we spin it.
Yeah, we're skipping you. And I'm not going to give it a lot of time tonight. Walsh is normally pretty generous. Like, let's wait another minute.
It's a bit of a delay. Like there's a delay in the system. And those of you, there's tons of comments. If we're not getting to your comments, we really apologize. We're just kind of talking a lot too. We'll start to race through some of them. But if you have comments, you can hit us up on Discord too. Jason's way better than I am about responding. But the best part about our Discord is there's people on there who know way more than I do. That kind of give us some good input on stuff. So you can.
Why am I asking you for advice?
So I've got a question because every time we always go out to Vegas, we always stay at an Airbnb and we always go across the billboards for Ping Pang Pong over next to the Rio. Has anybody ever actually eaten there, and is it worth going to? Because every time we go there, we see this, and it keeps piquing our interest. But last year, it was closed because it was just so many shutdowns. Because, to be honest, 2022 SHOT was a little underwhelming compared to previous years. But at the same time, if anybody's got any experience with it, I'm just curious because we see that billboard every morning we drove to the event. It's like,
we'll go with you. We'll test it out. We'll test it out with you. So last year was our first, or this 2022. It was our first year going, and we were like, "This is amazing! This is the best ever."
Yeah, but for small channels like ours, it really did you guys a lot of good.
And that's what Mike from Tactical Considerations. I told this story a couple of times, but he just met me. He's like, well, you need to soak this up. Like look it around. Like me and you just talking like this would never happen normally. There'd be so many people swarmed everywhere. He's like, the fact that you're out here and you and Jason are here, just like, dude, hit everyone you can because no one else is here. Like Arrow, like grabbed us like saw us and grabbed us, like, hey, can you come over to our, like, we're not going to get that this year, but that's fine.
No.
We kind of have that little bit more notoriety from last year.
What you did have the possibility to do was to go out and make those baseline relationships and start to create those networks. And that's always the most important thing. It may not seem like it's a lot right now, but like I told you guys when we first had a chance to chat in the beginning, before we even really started to get to where we are now, it's like, you guys have good video quality. You guys have good insight into a lot of the gear that you review. And I think that people see that. And as it starts to spread by word of mouth and you see people sharing and liking, it's going to be, and you guys benefit over time because they're going to say, hey, you know, they're not afraid to go after a certain S company, which I still have to laugh at because I go
spitting raisins.
Yeah, I still see people coming after you guys about that, saying, oh, they have no idea what they're talking about. And it's like, well, maybe they were also looking at this from the way that they functionally run stuff. But at the same time, I mean, the internet, it wins every single time. So it is the victor.
Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of funny because our live chat is where so many things like spitting raisins has come from our live chat. Jimothy, if you know anything about Jimothy and the alligator, that came from our live chat. The whole wizard thing came from our live chat.
Dude, look at this good quality video. You saw this skip it, right?
Yeah, you brought
I was going to make a comment. I was going to say, well, Walsh has good quality video. I'm still with a GoPro and dragging optics behind my truck. So,
hey,
it's hit or miss. It's hit or miss.
Works. But regardless, you guys are doing what you guys need to do, and you're seeing your growth, and you're starting to see your subscriber base, and you're building that good core community that every channel has to have to survive. And that's, like I say, when we get a chance to work with really good individuals, it's something that we definitely want to hold on to that relationship and help support them. Yeah. So when we found you guys, it's like, wow, they just kind of came up out of nowhere and they just start kind of popping up into your feeds. But you see it, and then you start to go down the rabbit hole. So
this is so dumb, but I can't turn it off.
Yeah, it's so
part of it too is part of it that I love, like talking, you know, a lot of the interaction that we've heard about between TLD and HRT is between you and Walsh. And so having him come to us and our internal discussions and him saying, you know, hey, I told them about this thing that I didn't like, and they weren't a-holes about it. They kind of took the feedback and they said, cool, well, hey, thanks for that. We'll run with it. Whereas other companies are like, well, you're not qualified to give that opinion. Whoa,
I don't know. Maybe I just come from an older school method of, hey, I got
that SEAL Team 6, and obviously you're not scuba diving with our plate carrier, so it's not designed for you.
Even on the HRT one, people were mad that I did I test all the belts the same. So people are like, you shouldn't test that inner belt for EDC. It's not designed for EDC. Like, yeah, but like that's fine. But we still test them all the same. Now you just be aware that maybe that's not where it excels, but it excels in other areas.
And that's one of the things too. I mean, companies, they'll come out with an initial design and then they'll say, hey, look, this just isn't a good design once we get initial feedback on. And we're the same way. We've had quite a few changes that we've made over the time that we've done the Maximus. So if you'll notice that all of the new Maximus, it comes with 4 little loops on the side now so that it can be looped into the chest harness. Whereas the first design, it did not have that option. Mm-hmm. So for people who have a Maximus, if they bought it maybe 2 years ago, that's not going to be within that option. However, if you buy a Maximus now, it's going to be interoperable with the chest harness option now. So, and those are just feedback things that we received from people that, you know, have reached out to us, given reviews, or they've just reached out to me. So like people laugh when I say this, but my job is basically just to spend time on YouTube, going down rabbit holes, trying to find, you know, new people to reach out to. But at the same time, there's people that buy our kit and they do reviews, and I definitely go in and I take it serious and I look at it and it's like, okay, what can I pull from this? Is this just, you know, some guy that's, you know, trying to be honest? Well, let's take him serious because he might have some really good feedback.
Yeah, and Chris, you don't have to answer that rhetorical because we all know the answer to it. But I wonder how much like percentage of Walsh Chris really takes serious. I'm guessing it's probably like 5-10%. You don't have to answer, Chris. We know. Internally, we know.
I take everybody serious, and I think you need to until they get to the certain point. It's like the old George Carlin skit. You just let someone keep talking, and eventually you're gonna hear them say something, and you're gonna be like, "Yep, they're full of crap." And luckily, so far, Walsh hasn't hit that level of crap.
Wait, hold on. Have you seen?
So you've only seen some of her videos. Got it.
Hold on. So you guys didn't hear this, but one time Chris called me. He's like, "I want to let you know, Walsh." We were talking about something else, but he's like, "I want to let you know, Walsh, you've officially made it. I was down a rabbit hole watching some other video, and this other person was just pissed about your spitting raisins video. And like, that means you made it." I was like, "This is amazing." Like,
did you tell?
Once you do a review or you put out a video, and someone wants to take their time just to do a rebuttal to that video, that means something.
Oh, so, I gotta find this video now.
Yeah.
I don't know, Walsh. Do you have it, or I'll see if I can find it, and if I can find it, I'll send it to you.
So I've told Walsh whenever I'm feeling down, I'll put on his thing 1, thing 2 video and just kind of sit back and.
I just want to find the video so I can go into the comments and agree with them and bash walls.
What's funny is we were at SHOT Show and Jason was like, "Dude, anytime I get sad, I just watch this video." And I'm like, "Dude, it's not that bad." And he's like, and Jason's like, "When's the last time you watched it?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. When I made it. I probably haven't watched it since then." So we just turn it on in the background. I'm editing in the background, and like I hear it, I'm like, "Oh, whoa."
Yeah, I gotta admit, it was pretty brutal. That was a pretty brutal, and I gotta admit, because I don't remember if you had already done the review on the rack at that point. And I was starting to second guess. I was like, "Look, I don't know if that was a smart."
Truth is coming out.
Wow, like wow, he's gonna go. He's gonna go.
My favorite part is like, but I have a fix for this whole thing. We cut it.
Well, I mean,
like, ooh, whoa.
I can see it from both sides because when you get into a situation where you're going to be moving into like high elevation areas, like plate carriers aren't going to be the best option, and you want to go in as light as possible. So, I mean, there's a place for all that stuff, and the industry is pretty big. So, and there's a lot of people that have mission sets. So, I'm a firm believer that a lot of companies come out with some really good stuff, and some companies come out with some interesting stuff, but it may not be what you need.
So we got 2 minutes left until we're going to spin this. If you have not entered, you have to put #wizard. You probably, if you could squint, if you're on a computer, you can probably read that. You got to look to see if your name's on there.
If you zoom in completely, 300, 400%.
If your name's not on there.
Oh, Mario, we'll get you. You got him by the butt. If you win this, people are gonna be pissed.
Yeah, they're gonna say it's rigged.
So you have to put #wizard like Misfit.
The last second.
And Misfit's here. He says, "Hey fellas, I at dinner with the wife and TLD." And Harry says, "Misfit sounds romantic."
Yeah, it does. So
should we start singing? Start singing to the wife. Only you.
I gotta admit, if my brother said, "Hey, you're gonna spend time with other people and you're gonna watch a live stream instead of actually paying attention to me," I think she'd be pretty upset. But hey, if she's cool with that, I'm okay with that too. So
I told you we have the best subscribers out there.
My wife, Jason does videos, and on Thursdays he'll put his plate carrier on and sit in front of a computer and just talk about videos. And everyone's like, "No way! Yeah, here's a picture. Look at this picture of him I took."
Look at this dork.
Yeah, look at this dork. Nerd alert.
Yeah, that's like I try to tell people yeah, I do YouTube. Like, oh, that's stupid. Like, no, it's like guns and stuff.
I had someone go, whoa. Are you an influencer? I was like, I don't know what that means.
Like, I don't know.
Quarantine Catholic is here. Hey, y'all. School's out, so I could drop in tonight. Good to see you.
Nice. Good to see you again.
So it's kind of funny, Chris. There's been live chats where people come on and we'll see a comment and they'll be like, "What's up with the mask?" And usually because I'm so behind, like right now I'm like 30 minutes behind on comments. I'm so behind on comments. Joe's like, "Dude, they're gone already." And then sure enough, they're like, no, I'm still here. I'm listening to you guys. Quarantine Catholic was one of those, and she has gone off the deep end on ham radios, and she is like taking charge on our Discord. We created a whole separate communicate channel. So anything ham related, she talks about the training. She talks about gear that she's buying on the ham radio side, how she's using it to help her community. It's been fantastic to see her excel when she kind of came to us, not really knowing even where to start with ham radios.
Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun.
And prejudging us like a son of a gun, being like, "These are a bunch of weird Hamas. I'm out."
What in the world? Okay, hey, it's past the hour. Who's ready for
it is.
Who's ready for some disappointment?
Yeah,
so
go.
Like I'm so far behind. People are saying, "Who won?" We haven't spun it yet.
You want me to spin? Hey, okay, I'm not even gonna wait. You guys ready for this?
Yeah, go. 1, 2, 3, go.
Do it.
Wang!
You're a minute late.
Here we go.
Let's go green.
This is gonna be...
Oh yeah,
that's gonna be blue.
Here we go.
It's gonna be blue.
Look, how would I even type? How would I even type this name in? I can't even type that in.
Just put B1.
Yeah.
He has a B1 bomber on this picture. Oh, who's it gonna be?
There's so many
it's
people.
It's gonna be blue.
With this many people, you're gonna get so shafted.
This is so fun.
Truth, maybe. Oh, Andrew Shaw, maybe.
Karanga?
It better not be green.
If it's green, that's gonna be amazing.
No, yellow.
Oh, nope.
Is it blue?
See that? This is what we're talking about, Chris. So it's like,
no. Nobody picked yellow, right? Nobody picked yellow.
Oh, it might be Dr. Dole.
Oh, I get super screwed. Oh.
Dr. Dole.
Dr. Dole with the win. That's awesome.
Yo,
already rigged. Rigged. Seth Brooks says rigged. Absolutely rigged. Rigged. Dr. Dole, hey, he's here. I win.
I win. Look, that's how it works. I do have Doc Dole's contact information, so I will connect up Doc Dole with Chris. But Doc Dole, if you could please just.
You also have my contact information, so you owe me $1.
Congratulations, Steven Morales.
Well, he put it up for himself. He's like,
hey,
no,
I wrong.
So yeah. Dr. Dole, if you could please shoot us an email over at our thinlinedefenseco@gmail.com, just so we have some email tracking.
It says I demand a recount.
Cool. And just as a reminder, Jason, to go over all of his prizes.
Yeah, so it's going to be an HRT rack. Why don't let's get rid of this. You already know you want HRT rack.
Yeah, it'll be an HRT
Maximus
rack.
placard. There you go. Yeah.
And it's going to be their choice of the cummerbund, and I'll throw in a few extra goodies. And I got to go up to the office on Monday. So what I will do is I will save them a lot of pain and time, and I'll go ahead and start the building process and get their kit built out. So that way it should be in one piece by the time it gets there. And then I'll throw in a little sticker pack and a couple patches in there as well. So that way, just wanted to say thank you guys for supporting the guys at TLD, and just say thank you guys for showing up tonight, because that means a lot, because one, you guys are building culture. You guys may not see it that way, but by building culture, you're having a huge impact on the future, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, culture.
Speaking of, has everyone seen the GBRS magnifier mount? You guys know it's great.
Oh, here you go. Chris, do you like Zev Technologies?
I like Zev Technologies. I will say
no. Please say no. Just say no.
Tolerances I've ever seen on a Glock, and the trigger for the one basic Glock 17 that they built that I had a chance to shoot, I will say it was pretty impressive. I know a lot of people like to hate on Zev, but they do build some pretty impressive products.
J-Dub is
I
never.
don't really care about Zev. I don't care either way. I just like to hate on him. So
he's gonna go. J-Dub's gonna go. Remember the time Chris from HRT liked Zev? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
We remember.
I mean, I'll be honest. I used to be a complete Glock fanboy, but after getting a new SIG P320 X Full, I'm in love with it. So I'm not saying I'm completely sold for a SIG for EDC, but I will say for, give it a couple hundred extra rounds to make sure it's going to hold tight, no malfunctions or anything crazy like that. But I'm definitely
throw it a couple times, make sure everything's good to
yeah,
go.
yeah, exactly.
Drop it, whatever you want to do, smack it with a hammer.
Jacob Murphy said, as soon as I lost the wheel spin, I put in my own HRT order. That's how you do it. Hey,
oh, nice.
Take matters into your own hands. Banks Bucks is here. He says, 2 questions. Do you like M81 and why is M81 the best camo?
All right. If that's towards me, I think it's because I live in the eastern part of the United States. M81 is what I cut my teeth in the military until we moved over to the digi stuff. And it's just a nostalgia thing. And I do also think that M81 is just a good all-round camouflage until you start getting into the desert. Then the M81 really does lose its benefits. So.
Optional question. Why does multicam look like booty?
No.
So he asked this question almost every live chat. Chris, you don't have to answer. But Prepper Book Club gave us a super chat, and he says, Chris, are we going to see the Maximus placard back in multicam arid anytime soon?
So that is one of the questions. We are looking at doing some limited runs, and they will be currently what we're discussing. Again, this is not confirmed, but we are looking at going ahead and getting the products for the raw materials, and we are going to do some special runs. Multicam Arid has been put into those options as well as Multicam Tropic. However, I cannot confirm simply because I don't want to come out and say something that's not true, and then someone come back and say, "Hey, you guys said that on the live chat." I'd rather be safe because for those that do work in the material industry, it does get kind of hard to get some materials right now, nylon webbing and things like that you do need to build out some of these products. So we do have to make sure that we do have access to all the materials before we can say that we are building them out. But yes, we did do some multicam arid for photo shoots and some video shoots in the past.
Yeah.
And it is on the list of a possibility for either a spring or fall.
There you go.
Special.
Well, can you pull up
multicam
arid? Show us a picture real quick.
Yeah, keep going.
Harry says, okay, didn't win, no biggie. Waiting for the 50% off TLD discount code. Not going to happen, Harry.
That'll be next week. Tune in next week. You'll have to watch the entire show to make sure you don't miss that code.
Croak says, hate to say it, but as much as I love my horde of P320s, the Walther PDP has eclipsed them as my favorite strike gun. Can't beat the modularity, though. I don't own a SIG 320.
Neither do I.
I do. I love it.
Yeah, but that's because of the first handgun you ever bought and you listened to Cody.
No, I had that M&P 40. That was the worst handgun I've ever owned.
Oh, it's a 40.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, Joe, here's this one you were asking for. The Multicam Arid.
Yeah, I saw it. Thanks for pulling it up. So what I need is an HRT hoodie that's like flat dark earth or tan, but like on the inside of the hood or something like that is like a really cool camo pattern. That's what I need in my life.
That would be awesome. I think the hardest part would be finding a company that we could get to partner with to actually have that in stock.
Yeah.
I mean, I just come up with the ideas. You got to.
Yeah. We're not the resource guys.
Yeah.
I think the issue is like trying to find certain patterns in.
And then the HRT needs to be in that same pattern. So just like flat dark earth or tan, HRT in that pattern, and then like the inside of the hood, even the whole inside of the hoodie would be awesome in that.
With the Sonin 556 placard.
Oh my gosh. Dude. This is getting ridiculous now.
Yeah, like where your hoodie pocket in, where you normally put your hands, but in the top there's just like a slot that you can unzip and put a 556 in it.
I mean, well, we do have the hand.
Just saying, Chris, it's $1 million idea. If you want to fly off the shelf.
We got another super chat. Shadow Mankum says, Chris, can I get one in Flectarn? #rigged.
So Flectarn is something that we haven't pushed into. We're looking at more. We also have to look at this as a company. But if you reach out to us, I'm pretty sure we could probably build one out, but it would be really, really expensive. So
yeah, don't do it. Zach Fett says the Maximus placard is awesome. I want to get one now.
A whole bunch of money to get a really ugly one made for Jason.
Really ugly.
We can be offline, and we can definitely chat.
I will wear anything and everything.
Can we get a kilt
Dude,
made for Jason?
I don't know if Walsh remembers this. I forgot what shirt I was wearing. I'm a whore, and so we were going through the Crimson Trace booth. Remember, and the guy was like, "Hey, if I give you a Crimson Trace shirt, will you wear it?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I will." I took my shirt off right then. He gave me a Crimson Trace shirt. I put it on.
And he's like, "I got to change my shirt like right now." He's like, "Yeah, he just gave me a shirt. I'm put it on right now." I'm like, "Where are you gonna put your
right
shirt?"
there in the middle of shots. Oh, here we go. J-Dub, haha, suck it, Jason. Hashtag Zev for life.
Already. It's already there.
See, it's already there.
Awesome.
It's already there. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Hey,
who invited you?
I mean, different folks. I mean, there's plenty of people that love 1911s. There's plenty of people that love staccatos. There's plenty of people out there that love Glocks, 320s coming on the scene really hard. And I mean, everybody's got a different grip. Everybody's got a different take on it. So it's just one of those things that, is what it is.
that's not what we believe here. There are people that are right and people that are wrong. So
yeah, and we're on the right side of things.
There we go. Right. Jado says, best part about this live is Chris like Zev. HRT plus Zev equals elite.
Hey, Chris, this was a comment that was further up. What are your thoughts in kind of thermal versus night vision kind of now as things kind of as the landscapes change a little bit? People were talking a bunch about thermals right before we kind of moved.
Have you guys ever seen the channel Nightwalker?
Yeah, we know. So we actually talked to the guy who runs that over at TNVC too.
Okay.
Oh, that was a big dude, right? Big, scary looking guy?
No.
Oh, okay.
The one we talked to the whole time.
I think he has come up with a great way if you're looking at trying to keep, because let's be honest, the E-Coddies are getting really hard to get. And I think that the way that the industry is moving, eventually everybody's going to want to move to some type of thermal interface with night vision. And that is going to be the wave of the future, because if you want to go passive, you're still going to have the ability to make out thermal signatures if you're moving through a specific area. So I think that he came up with a great idea where you could take, like, say, the FLIR Breach or the iRay, I think it's the MH25, but by being able to kind of be able to create the vision where you're going to be able to incorporate your thermal into your night vision. So I think he's coming up with some really good ideas and ways to interface that. But I do think that if I had to choose one, I would choose night vision just because there's more capabilities with it as far as being able to do things in your 3-foot circle, because thermal can't look through glass. I mean, there's definite limitations with it. But if you can incorporate both of them together, I mean, that's a superpower times 2. So,
yeah. And one thing I saw with the Breach too, it's popular for a lot of people, but when I started getting into a lot of the specs of it, it really kind of sucks.
It really is more for like 0 to 100 yards. It's not really going to be something that's going to be for reaching out and touching someone or trying to find somebody 200-300 yards in front of you. I think that's where, where you start getting into more of like a more designated thermal setup is going to be your best option for that. And you also got to pay attention to, the 640 by 320 versus the 256. Those different resolutions are going to have a huge impact on what you can see at distance. So I think right now, outside of maybe what certain groups in the U.S. military are doing, I think the guys down in Texas that are going out and doing night hunts, especially for like nuisance animals and stuff like that, those guys kind of know what they're doing, and they're kind of leading the way on the civilian side as far as being able to use them pretty regularly. And they've got some really good information out there, especially when you start getting into the thermal stuff. So, and I know that's kind of looking at it more from like a sportsman perspective, but it's one of those debates. It's like what a lot of people may do in the military, there's still some sportsman capability that people are going to do on the sportsman side. And that's in hunting, that's in, people just going out for a nice stroll, wearing nods in the middle of their suburban neighborhood, and their neighbors looking at them like they're crazy. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. But
sounds like I need to get some nods.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it's just one of those interesting things. Whether you're running thermal or nods, they both give you an advantage that just the naked eye just doesn't have right now. So
yeah. So it's funny. Bailey Luke says potholes are thermal's worst enemy.
Oh,
like.
So J-Dub says the worst enemy.
Yeah, no. J-Dub says, for real though, lots of love for Chris. Thank you for all that you do for TLD and the 2A community. Thank you for the giveaway too. HRT is the best. We appreciate it, man.
And just so that you guys are aware, we're definitely going to do this again. We know that you guys are going to be growing, and we're definitely going to help sponsor some of your future giveaways, especially as you guys grow. And, we can definitely do some more sponsorship giveaways as we get into 2023. So,
yeah, and don't forget, guys, we're going to be sneaking over to the HRT booth over at SHOT Show. So we'll be showing you guys all their stuff. Probably we're trying to do a little more like showcases, have some stuff that's almost live. Some stuff will
we're going to be. I was gonna say we're gonna be a little bit more focused with SHOT Show. 2022 was our first year. We felt like we were kind of all over the place. We got some good content out of it, but this year we're gonna be a lot more focused with where we're gonna go and who we're gonna see. And really, I think it's just gonna be kind of 8 main places that we're gonna have time for, and then maybe some lives or shorts for some other places.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things that you guys, as you guys start to do more towards the media side for things like that. You were talking about when you were chatting with Mike from Tactical Considerations. 2022 was really, I mean, there was a few people there, but it wasn't nearly as packed as, say, pre-2021. And I think one of the biggest questions, if you guys stopped by the Blackwater booth that was over on the Caesar side, as soon as SHOT was over, they literally put a tombstone up and it said, SHOT Show 2022. Dead forever. I think they were one of the few that was like, hey, we're probably not coming back anymore because this was just so dead. But with that, though, I'm going to be honest, it was a little lackluster, but I think now that a lot of the shutdowns are coming to an end, the mask mandates are pretty much gone out of Nevada. You're going to see a lot of people coming back to it. Maybe not as much as 2020, but it's just a huge, gigantic networking opportunity. Yes, it's true what a lot of people say. You can do a lot of stuff using your computer, your phone, but sometimes it's really hard to not do business and be able to look somebody in the eye, give a nice firm handshake, and get a feel for who that person is or what that company's doing. So those are also benefits that a lot of people really don't really think about. It's just that human element of getting a chance to meet and talk about things that you just may not get a chance to anywhere else. So.
Yeah. So here's a question for you, Chris. Croak says, how is your light doing, if you can say? Reception seems to be good with influencers.
So right now, the light officially came out Veterans Day weekend. And so far, we're pretty happy with the way that it's going. It is getting traction, and we're hoping by 2023, early 2023, we'll make back the initial investment on it. And then that's going to give us the opportunity to start putting more money into it. One thing that I have pushed for those that may be asking, it would be nice for us to be able to come out with new anodized colors, like maybe an FDE, maybe even a limited edition OD or Ranger Green. But again, those are things that we've discussed. Those aren't things that I can say we are doing, but those are definitely things that we have looked at. So,
no, I think Spittin' Raisins will be out.
I really want Walsh to do that because, according to them, they wanted to punch him in the face. So I kind of want to get that on camera.
I think I've either the fact that I've just ignored them for the past year and a half, or something. I don't know. They like some of my stuff on it. I'm still banned. I'm still blocked on Instagram, but some of their workers like some of my stuff. And I'm like, this is no.
I will say the look on the guy's face when he realized who you were, like as you were setting up the camera, and he was like, wait, Walsh? Who's Walsh?
Because it said my first name. And they're like, oh, I don't know. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I thought you were like, no, that's me. Go ahead.
That's me. Go ahead. And go.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, sometimes those things are going to happen, but I mean, at least they still went through and did the review stuff with you. So that's always something.
We did a quality thing for them. I mean, the fact that their own workers were being rude, we highlighted that, but that's on them. Like we didn't do anything negative to them.
So I will apologize if you guys hear scratching at my door. It's one of my pups. He had an eye surgery on Tuesday. So, well, it's okay. He's all right, but he's basically scratching at the door. So if you hear something on the backside, no, I'm not keeping people.
You should probably just let him in. We all love
dogs.
We all love dogs.
Yeah. So we got 10 minutes left. So there is a question. Westside Ranger says, is 10 millimeter on the rise, and why we should use it?
Bears.
Cook Club says 10 millimeter is awesome for busting bears.
Yep, I agree.
I have a buddy who's if you guys follow Disillusion 1811 on YouTube, he's a soon to be retired police officer, but he does a lot of like ultra marathon running in the backwoods, Mount St. Helens and stuff like that. So he's been asking about 10 millimeter, getting a little Glock. I forgot what Glock 20, I think, is the smaller, or is that the full? Anyways, whatever Glock, the subcompact that's a 10 millimeter. He wants to get one that he can keep in like a hill people gear chest rig or something while he's running for bears.
My thing is it's just another excuse to buy another gun because you don't have that one, so why not?
But this is one of those interesting things. If you could go back in a time machine when the ammo thing pretty much hit, you couldn't find anything at all. But 10 millimeter was on the shelf, and they were having to do sales
everywhere.
Just to get rid of it. So
it was like, remember Walsh got how many rounds of 6.5 Creedmoor did you get before? Like 500 rounds?
Yeah, it was 50 cents. It was 50 cents a round for the S&B, and I think I got 500 for like $200. Everyone was like, "Stop shooting that trash! Shoot the match ammo." I was like, so I had a bunch of the match too, but like that S&B, I was using left and right. Now I think it was like $3. It was like $3 a round during the height of COVID for the S&B.
Yeah,
I was like, I could sell took
advantage of it as well, and we got a chance to go out and do some long range shooting. And I mean, it wasn't exactly precision ammo, but we were still able to hit targets out to 1,000 yards, no problem. So,
yeah, listen, I've had no issue within 600. Like it's fine. It's fine.
Ironside Army says red anno is the best anno. And Harry reminded what anno means anal in Spanish.
So that's why he put this one.
Red anal equals best anal. See what we were talking about, Chris? He's like, I don't know why I'm here.
He's like, dang it.
What? You guys are losing me. I can't hear you.
Like, hey, what was that one country song that used to be, I love it when you turn my brown eye blue? So
here's another question. How long has HRT been a company?
That's a very interesting question. And to not bore anybody, as far as the gear company side, it officially started to become a gear company towards the end of 2017. That's when we moved out of training and we just concentrated on gear. So pre-2017, we used to do classes for carbine, shotgun, pistol, and we did a couple of other separate classes. But around 2018, we kind of closed down the training side. Like if we have people that wanted to come out during that time frame, we would still do concealed carry permits, and we might do a few pistol classes. But up until that point, we tried to look at the market as giving the best bang for your buck. So sometimes that would be just by doing small clinics. And since I live close by to one of the Air Force bases, and around 2011, I used to do a lot of invites to like the security forces because sometimes they don't get a lot of opportunities to shoot. And unfortunately, some of the schools, I'm not saying that they were bad, but there were a lot of new things that were coming out. And some of them, they just didn't have pistols that they could bring. So I would open up the range and I would basically run clinics and I would have a few extra pistols. And it was just like, I've got these pistols if you guys bring some extra ammo. So we would work with some of the guys on the military side. But we also did a lot of the non-lethal stuff as well. So one of our partners, he used to work for a company prior to starting HRT, and it was one of the companies that taught one of the CQB methods. And instead of doing where I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head, but it was kind of like the laser method where you would hold the weapon like this, and it's kind of a weird, but it was pretty functional. But it was designed where you would shoot from an angle. So when you cleared into the room, you would basically clear your corners, and kind of some interesting things. Some departments used it. And then we worked with a few departments on trying to basically bring up their non-lethal side. And we came out to a couple other departments, did a little bit of carbine work with them. But what we realized is it wasn't really what we wanted to do. So as we started to see that we had some ideas in the gear market, we just said, why are we wasting our time trying to fill up classes for pistol carbine, on which civilians were the majority of our customers at the time? And it's not that we didn't make any money, but we started to look at where we thought that we could better the gear market. And one of it was the placard systems were really starting to take off. And it was like a lot of the placard systems that we had, we weren't really that impressed with it. And you know the old saying, if you can't do better than what's out there, keep your mouth shut. So we were like, all right, if we think we can do better, let's build a better placard. That's when we came up with the Maximus, and we came up with the Modulus. And hopefully in 2023, we can come up with a few better placard options for those that are looking for a little bit more expanded capacity as well. So,
and for the money, that the Maximus, that's kind of why I always push so many people towards it. It was a fully complete system for usually half the cost as some of the other competitors. And I was like, why would you get anything else? Like, what do you really need that thing doesn't include?
I'll be honest, and this is going to sound kind of counterproductive. I really liked the Maximus design when we first had it on the drawing board. And then I had a chance to run it for about the first day, and I wasn't sold on it. And I couldn't figure out why I wasn't sold on it. But then I got a chance to keep running it, and it kind of grew on me, because what I was doing is I was looking at this as, well, maybe I want something a little bit better here, a little bit better there. And we started to make some small changes off of the prototypes, and they actually listened. So I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, we make a few changes here, and we were able to streamline it enough so it just didn't feel like you were so far out there that your placard was going to go through the doorway before you did. So that was another thing I was kind of worried about with just doing such a large placard. But as we got a chance to run it through the prototype stages, I was like, wow, this is a lot better idea than I thought it was going to be when it was actually put into action. So, but yeah, I'll be honest, my favorite that we produce right now is the Modulus, just because I can go extremely streamlined, or I can take the pouches off and I can run it very similar to a Maximus, or I can run it very streamlined. And sometimes I just don't want to carry a lot of gear on the front because it's just not something I would need. So.
Yeah. Awesome. So I know we're running out of time here.
Got a couple of comments left. Only a few.
So J-Dub says, despot from Chris before we leave. He said, tell him it's a ritual for guests on the show, so he does it.
Oh, I got it. You guys are talking about the other guys. No, I can't do that. My neighbors would probably go crazy.
It's okay. Joe's going to do it one of these days. He's going to put some armor on the ceiling and do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
So as we have about a minute left, so one of the things that we do, we kind of close out with what we have coming up, what we're working on, videos that we might be working on, and then we'll kind of end out. Chris, when we end out, you don't have to hit the leave studio, just hang out. We'll share some information when we're off here, but I'll start us off and say we have the another micro red dot for this weekend. It's the Right-On micro red dot that I'm working on. I also got some interesting stuff in. Shadowman says he'll pay $500 for a despot. No, Shadowman.
That's what's going to get me to do it.
But also a reminder, we're working on a Christmas special. So you guys know Christmas is on a Sunday. Our video release is on a Sunday. So what we decided on, we're going to do, each of us is going to do 4 things that we got in 2022 that we love and 1 thing we hate. And so Walsh is gonna put it together, and that'll be our Sunday video for Christmas Sunday. One last thing, J-Dub says, "Love you, Chris. Thanks for the Zev love as well." Oh my gosh.
We're gonna end.
So, yes.
Yeah.
So
that's also the guy trying to get you to do a desktop. Just so
yeah,
that's the same guy.
Thanks for hanging out, Chris. Yeah, that's something we're super appreciative, Chris, of you coming on and kind of seeing how crazy we are here. We never stay on the rails for very long, and we appreciate you hanging out with us. Any last words from the group before we close us out?
Nope, just one last thanks to Chris. Chris, did you want to say any last bits before we close it out, before Jason finishes up?
Well, yeah, where can people find you guys at?
Yep. So just go to www.hrttacticalgear.com. That's our website. You can use HRT Tactical Gear on IG. We always have good capabilities to get back if anybody has any questions. And the other thing is, if you're looking for me, I'm on IG at HRT Social Outreach. That's what I go through. I've changed it up over the past couple of years just to get it into more of like a company-based business type account. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll get an answer back as soon as I can. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to go through the website, our company IG, or myself, and I'll get an answer as quickly as possible. But beyond that, I just want to say thank you to the Walsh, Jason, Joe. Thank you guys for building your channel, first and foremost, building a culture with a subscriber base that you guys have. And thank you guys for supporting us, but at the same time, thank you guys for your honesty to help us build better products. And lastly, I just want to say thank you to your subscribers. For those that like our gear or don't like our gear, regardless, we still thank them anyway, because anything that they do for, like, if they buy something that they want to give us feedback, feel free to do so. We can always add that into ways to make products better in the future.
Awesome.
And I don't even know if we have a discount code, but try it anyway. TLDCO. Try it at Walmart. Yeah. Try it everywhere.
Elevators. Just jam it in.
Yep. Just wherever.
Well, it's always a pleasure, guys. And again, we do this every Thursday, so we will see you next Thursday.
I want to see the most creative way that people have tried our discount code, like screenshots in the Discord. That's what I want to see.
Later, everyone.